Yes, it's always a pleasure to be with you as you join us on our daily newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM here in Abuja. My name is Lawrence Omoiti. Welcome to the show. Yes, as usual, we will be taking a trip around the pages of the papers, and at the second half of the show, we will now dwell on some of the stories in details. So that's how it's going to be. And as we start off with the Guardian newspapers, the headline story here says federal government targets 2.3 million barrels daily oil production by mid-2025. And moving away from that, NLC, federal government unveils basic education curriculum today, and Senate insists on full autonomy for local government. Commuters lament lawmakers' alleged silence on deplorable Noma Jalingo Road. And back to the fuel story, more pains for Nigerians as PMS hits 1,000 naira a litre. Niger Delta CSOs wade into Wike Fubara rift. Foundation urges varsities to tackle plastic pollution. And for a little bit of sports stories here, Guavon show of victory as Eagles prey on Mediterranean Knights. That's the Libyan national team. And demolition of Crystal Complex political vendetta, that's according to Dawn. Army detains general over theft of palliative rice, military equipment. And customs sells confiscated petrol at discounted 630 naira in Adamawa. 550,000 housing units required yearly to solve housing needs in Nigeria. And INEC denies obstructing inspection of beavers, election materials in Edo. And a little bit of foreign stories here. Kenyan votes to impeach Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And back home, Kwara intervenes in child defilement case amid alleged police misconduct. Bouncer arrested after fatal stabbing at Ago Palace Way. Army urges Niger Delta youths to enlist, boost representation in national security. Community denies protest against Enugu Monarch, town union leaders. Super Eagles camp bubbles as fans caution against underrating Libya. Senate decries brain drain in education, urges increased allocation. Yes, we heard that story yesterday. And Nigeria loses 3 trillion naira yearly to poor waste recovery in food industry. WHO says Nigeria, DRC and Burundi worst hit by Mpox. And on oil spill, reps panel threatens arrest warrant on companies. PDP accuses suspended Southeast Vice Chairman of causing crisis in Ebonyi. Peter Obi reacts to cut judgment reinstating Abure as LP Chairman. All right, we move on to the Nigerian Tribune. And the Tribune leads with the story, reps to probe Buhari's tax credit scheme. And Bishop Oyedepo's Covenant Landmark Universities top 2024 university rankings. Wow. And Tinubu congratulates Shinkafi Bagudu on appointment as UICC president. Nigeria's status as giant of Africa. This is coming from the presidency. And for some news from the states now, in Delta State, police arrest 52 criminal suspects, recover ammunition and cash. And from Delta to Oyo State, police arrest women, 3 others over drug, firearm possession. And to Zamfara State, NOA launches sensitization on new anthem value charter in Zamfara State. We move on to the Punch newspaper now, and back to the fuel story. 1,013 naira per litre price. NLC demands reversal as fuel queues resurface. Nasima raises concern over fuel price hike. PDP stalwart hails Fubara over Rivers LG polls. And sacked Aiyedatiwa's aide denies bribery allegation. Senate faults governor's fresh move on LG allocations. And in the Edo State, aftermath of the election, PDP APC clash stalls poll materials inspection. And Buhari didn't approve Emefiele's Naira redesign. This is coming from former CBN Deputy Governor. And Rivers CP visits raise LG secretariats as probe begins. And we move on to the Nation newspaper now, and it lays with this story. NNPCL sells petrol for 1,030 naira in Abuja. Fagbemi Osigwe asks courts to promote peace development via judgment. And women seek career growth opportunities. And the Senate is saying states must comply fully with Supreme Court judgment on council autonomy. President Tinubu, former President Obasanjo and Jonathan, and others are scheduled to attend the burial ceremony of Nwayo, former publisher of the Champions newspaper. And the federal government is advising Nigerians be cautious about drinking water sources. All right, we move on to Daily Trust now, and NLC demands petrol price hike reversal. Okay, no plan to transfer northern IDPs to southeast. This is according to the federal government. Follow your passion, not certificate, Malaysian tells Nigerian students. Nigerians stage 64th Independence Carnival in U.S. cities. And State House targets full digitization by November. The Leadership newspaper is next, and usual like other papers, it leads with the petrol story. Labour laments new petrol pump price as queues resurface. Now, final part is This Day newspaper, and it says, finally, subsidies gone, as NNPC sells petrol for 1,030 naira per litre in Abuja. Why FG must be supported after decades of failed attempt. And FG begins implementation of zero VAT on pharmaceutical products. What FG must do? Support vulnerable with cash payments, fight corruption, and lead by example. Okay? NICOM signs MOU with Youth Development Ministry. Federal government to complete harmonized government service portal in December to enhance productivity. All right, that's all we can think by. Please don't go away. Still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM in Abuja. My name is Lawrence Sumaiti. We will be back.
Citizen FM Abuja. Now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM Abuja. Now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hands to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hands to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Yeah. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM.
Need a lift? Feeling low, bored, or confused?
Wants your dream to brightly glow?
Here is what to do.
Women's Corner is waiting just for you.
Education, work, lifestyle, career, mentorship, and family too.
We will tackle the issues, provide solutions, and see you through. Finding your voice, reaching high, and making an impact. Women's Corner, where knowledge can fly.
Join us every Mondays and Wednesdays at 1 p.m. for inspiring stories and practical advice to reach all your glories.
It's Women's Corner on Citizen 93.7 FM, Abuja.
Woman don't suffer, lower everybody.
The Renewed Hope Agenda for Nigeria is the brainchild of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. It is geared towards renewing the hopes of Nigerians for a better future through its policies, projects, and programs that are aimed towards lifting the GDP and economic growth of the nation by improving standard of living of the average Nigerian. The Renewed Hope Agenda Radio is poised to promote all of the above while enlightening Nigerians as well. Join us every Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. on Citizen FM Radio, 93.7, Labor House, Central Business District, Abuja. Renewed Hope Agenda Radio on 93.7 FM. The future starts today.
We believe in this nation, and we know we'll get there. We'll defend. Oh yeah, oh my people, make una come gather here. Which kind tori una wan hear on top radio? Wetin dey catch fire on top social media? Bring am on top make we talk am for Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja every Monday go reach Thursday, and the time na 5:10 wey be 10 minutes after 5. Make we talk am as e dey be.
All right, thank you so much for staying tuned. It's still Newspaper Review, Citizen 93.7 FM, and this is the part where we now take a look at some of the stories in details and also look at what some of the papers are saying. My in-house analyst is already here seated. Mr. Salmon Salami, good morning, sir.
Very good morning to you, our usual presenter, and very good morning to you too, Super Citizen listeners.
Yes, Mr. Salman Salami is the Chief Operating Officer of Citizen 93.7 FM and is also an in-house analyst on this segment of the show. As usual, he will be guiding us on as we take a trip around some of 0903 2229797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. Mr. Salami, where else to start from? And the Fuel report, which dominates all the newspapers today. And we start off with the Punch newspaper. 1,300 naira per litre price. NLC demands reversal as fuel queues resurface. The NLC and organized private sector have called for immediate reversal of the hike in the pump price of petrol by the NNPCL. Retail stations of NNPC raised the pump price of petrol to 1,030 naira. The price hike, the second in 1 month, represents about 14%. Or 133 naira rise. With the latest price adjustment, it means that in less than 17 months, the current administration, the petrol price has risen by over 430% from May 29, when the government took over. Mr. Salam.
It's really unfortunate that the pump price of petroleum is now in the hands of the forces of demand and supply, and as we have been told now that it has been now fully deregulated. 1,030 naira per liter is, to say the least, scandalous. Already the towns are not smiling, and we all know that whatever affects the pump price affects almost everything. And again, the pump price has made nonsense of the take home, the salary wage of 70,000, because the transport fare has gone up astronomically. In actual fact, just tell me what has not gone up. Do you know that egg costs 250 naira now?
Actually, 300 in some places. Yeah. Fact.
It only means that this vital nutrition that children need is unaffordable. And we are talking of the health situation of our future generation. In actual fact, this new pump price, the second in a month, has really dealt a death knell to the people. And this is sad. I want to believe that the government should not be there as a spectator. The government is there to reduce pain, pushing the whole cost on the already distraught Nigerians is, to say the least, insensitive. We will want the government to take a second look at what is going on. Full deregulation means hardship. Yes, I've been told that if a house is terribly bad in such a way that there are crevices, the best thing to do is to demolish the house and start afresh. What happens to the occupants? Yes.
Okay, Mr. Salami, yesterday I was really thinking. This looks as a situation that is getting us unprepared. This is something that we should have foreseen long ago, because number one, when we were canvassing for the removal of subsidy and allowing market forces to take control, there's no other way than what you're having now, except you're just trying to be economical with the truth. The prices will be determined by the players in the industry. When this is happening now and people are complaining, are we saying we should go back to the era of subsidy?
Were we with them on this issue of removal? At what point in time did we meet and agree that, yes, let us remove the subsidy? Mr. President, in his first broadcast to the nation at Ugu Square on the 29th of May 2023, said subsidy is gone. This was one of his first statements to the nation. And we are now seeing the unpalatable effect of that statement. It has pauperized Nigerians in such a way that even we, the supposed middle class, are not laughing again. We are not. And it's getting worse. Really bad for this country.
All right, I'm sure that this is going to be a subject that will be on the searchlight for days to come. We are still going to discuss a lot about this. Let's move on, Mr. Salami, to this story still on the Punch newspaper. Senate faults governor's fresh move on LG allocation. The Senate on Wednesday expressed alignment with the Supreme Court judgment which granted financial autonomy to the 774 local government areas across the country. It faulted moves by some governors to enact laws to mandate the local government councils in their state to remit allocations into a joint account. The Anambra State House of Assembly passed the Local Government Administration Bill on Tuesday amid condemnation from civil society groups and opposition parties, including Labour Party lawmakers in the Assembly. They alleged that the bill was an attempt by Governor Soludo to untwist the council chairman into paying their federal allocation back to the state. Reports indicate that some other state houses of assembly have also enacted bills regarding local government administration. What exactly is happening? Are we creating a situation where we'll return to the Supreme Court again?
I am disappointed that a Professor Soludo did what he is reported to have done. Lawrence, whatever comes out of the mouth of the justices of the Supreme Court is law. Is what?
Law. True.
And you are asking the local government to enact a law to override the judgment of the Supreme Court, or what? The highest court in the land is the Supreme Court. Whatever comes out of the hallowed temple of justice, it is law. what you can do, if you can, is to appeal to God. I won't begrudge you.
You can't do that one. That one's free.
I will not even begrudge you, because it's left to you to see which of the sons.
You can do that personally. You don't need a son to interface with God.
Anyway, I don't know the procedure. So, but what I know is this, and I'm being sincere about this. Anything outside the pronouncement from the justices of the Supreme Court is null and void and with no effect. It's ultra bias. They have the final say, and they are pronounced. I do not know what other thing the states could do. Clearly, we have seen that the money accruing to the local government seems to be the cash cow of the state governments, because ever since the judgment on the autonomy of the local government, the chief executives, they've been meeting with a view to seeing how do we circumvent the law. Anything outside the pronouncement of the Supreme Court is unconstitutional, and they risk they should get the consequence. There should be consequence for disobeying this judgment of the Supreme Court. There should be consequence. I've been saying it that impunity should not be allowed to reign. Whatever they do outside the judgment is impunity, and there should be consequence. I will leave it at that, Lawrence.
Okay, yes, I agree with you. Let's move on. Still staying with the Punch, Rivers CP visits Ray's LG Secretariat as probe begins. The Rivers State Police Command has commenced a full-scale investigation into the post-election violence which rocked some local government areas of the state, leading to loss of lives and burning of 3 local government secretariats on Monday. The newly deployed Commissioner of Police, Mustafa Mohammed, disclosed this during an on-the-spot assessment of the 3 affected LGAs. Mr. Salami, the number one, Mr. President moved swiftly by ordering the police to take charge of the secretariat to prevent a breakdown of law and order, and the CP seems to be following that steps. Why do we all have to always, as a people, resort to this when it comes to election? I know that this is a peculiar case. If you've been following the story of River State, how it ended up like this, but we should always, can't we always learn to do things by following processes and procedures?
Electoral violence in whatever form is unacceptable, and I think there should be advocacy on this, just as there should be on voter apathy. I have been saying it that politicians should be taught a lesson in such a manner that they will know that election is not a do or die thing. It's periodic, and it's just a way of telling you, public office holders, that yes, we are happy with you, continue. No, we are not happy with you. You have not fulfilled your promises, campaign promises. It should be seen as a civic thing, and that is this decent way to go. A situation whereby we resort, or they resort, or they use their urchins to resort to hooliganism is not acceptable. And thank Mr. President that he has directed the police to do the needful. And whoever is involved should face the wrath of the law. The long arm of the law should catch up with whoever, whether the sponsors, whether they are godfathers, whether they are idiots or whether there are urchins and those who think that they are malleable and allow themselves to be used. All those who perpetrated that heinous act should face the law. They should serve as deterrent to others. Electoral violence. No to electoral violence.
All right, you can join.
No to hooliganism.
You can join the conversation. The phone lines are still open. 0903 2229 797. You can also call us on 0818 2222205 or 0818 2222206. Mr. Salami, let's move on to the Tribune newspaper, and it leads with the story Reps to probe Buhari's tax credit scheme. The House of Representatives on Wednesday unveiled plans to investigate the Road Infrastructure Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme. That's a mouthful. Initiated by the former President Muhammad Buhari, the resolution was passed equal to the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance who expressed concern over the impact of the scheme, which was established through Executive Order 007. In a lead debate, Aliyu underscored the need to ensure accountability of public funds, queried the effectiveness of the scheme, and says the House notes the road infrastructure was established by Executive Order. The House observed that this tax credit scheme was meant to encourage private sector participation in road infrastructure development. The House observed that after 5 years after its inception, the scheme's effectiveness, which hinge on the viability and cost efficiency of project undertaking, is yet to be ascertained, and on and on and on. Another probe, Mr. Salami.
You see, do we say that it's one probe too many, or do we really say that we have just decided not to do the right thing? I don't really know where to start from and how to comment intelligently on this. It's so sad that the bottom line is no accountability, no transparency. It is still business as usual. And at the end of the day, it's the common man that suffers. We have been serving, or we as usual have been served, the short end of the stick. This is not what we voted for. This is not what an average Nigerian wants. It is not in our interest. A situation whereby public office holders help themselves to the Commonwealth is not the way to go. And I still say it. We, the citizens too, we are culpable. We don't hold public office holders to account. It is democracy, and when democracy is not participatory, it is no more democracy. We, the people, sovereignty lies with the people. Until we hold government officials, public office holders accountable, and I'm not restricting myself to the federal government. You have government at the state. There is government at the local government. And there are people at the local council areas. Hold your councillors accountable. You see them every day. Don't go to them to complain about your third wife. Oh my God. Lawrence, I'm close to crying, to weeping.
We always say that on this program, that citizens' participation in governance is not just during election. Voting is just one aspect. In fact, less than 10% of what you're supposed to do as a citizen. That's just the aspect of casting your ballot. There's the other aspect of holding your leaders to account, asking the necessary questions, being aware of what is happening. For example, we have a lot of civil society organizations, but they are all concentrated in Abuja and perhaps Lagos. They all beam their searchlights on what the federal government is doing, what the Senate is doing, and everything. But what about the state? Don't we have civil societies in the states? Don't we have organizations that are devoted to rural areas? What's happening in the ward level? What's happening in the health sector in the rural areas? These are people who should help publish budgets of states, budgets of local government, health budget of a state, and say, okay, this year you promised to set up 20 health centers. It's October, 10 months gone. What have you done? We've not seen one, or okay, 2 or 3 have not been completed. These are critical questions. They may erode to that village that was part of the campaign promise. It's almost 2 years now. Nothing has been done. These are critical questions that citizens need to ask, and they ask their leaders at the local levels, their councillors, members of the houses of assembly. And if you do this, and politicians are very smart people, when they know that people, the citizens, are watching, then they will start behaving well.
Citizens should act, and they should ask the right question. Let us know that democracy works better when citizens are asking the right question, when citizens are keeping government officials and public servants on their toes, when we do not go to them to ask for crumbs and to ask for pegs, as if that is what we need. What we need is good governance, and it comes at a price.
All right, but Mr. Salami, see, it's very easy for us to say this. On the flip side of the fact is the fact that a lot of our communities are impoverished. The economic situation is, you know what it is. So they say an hungry man does not really understand a lot of English, a lot of grammar. The man that is, his main concern is how to feed the family first. It's not the one that is going to check the budget of the state, what was there and everything. So I think we should balance this.
Yes, they have weaponized poverty. No doubt about that. But the fact still remains that we have a job to do as citizens. We cannot, on account of poverty, there is grinding poverty, no doubt about that. The hardship is excruciatingly painful. People are going through a very, very hard. Even at that, let us still do the needful. For tomorrow, let us sacrifice our today. For a better tomorrow, there is the need for us to hold the government accountable. After all, it is the Commonwealth. It is the Commonwealth. They are not doing us a special favor by serving the people. They beg for the job, they ask for the job, they campaign for the job. They must deliver.
All right, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. Now, 550,000 housing units required yearly to solve housing needs in Nigeria. And the federal government said it would need to build approximately 550,000 country. To do this, however, it will require about 5.5 trillion naira per annum. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, stated this in Enugu. Added that the huge housing deficit is the result of ineffective implementation of housing policies and others. Mr. Salam.
Food, housing, and clothing. Food, clothing, and shelter. To build 550,000 houses, you could see that Citizen FM is alive to the needs and the yearnings, and we are doing in here. But I must confess that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. Let us take the step. The way of the inconsequential is to say that I don't need that Toyota Corolla car. I need ML350. Honestly, my people always say that somebody who doesn't want to do anything will say, let us wait till the end of the month.
Mr. Salami, you have been trained stone, so.
Let us start building houses. We don't need to. We even if it let's think big, but let's start small.
Okay, but Mr. Salami, listening to the minister, I was wondering, I don't think the Nigerian government is capable of providing the housing needs of all Nigerians. I think a better way to go at it is creating an environment that would encourage participation of private sector and others to buy into it, build. It's easier that way. But when you make either through provision of infrastructure, opening up areas, putting infrastructure in place, this will encourage people to build housing estates, to build community houses, and so many other things at a cheaper rate where Nigerians can afford. Because it's one thing to build those houses, it's another thing for people to be able to afford it. We've seen the few cases of housing estates by government. It's usually bought by very rich people who will now sublet it to others before it gets, and at the end of the day, the average Nigerian cannot afford it.
The rent. You see, it is very easy if the government is determined to do the right thing. The building materials. That's why when you could buy cement for 500 naira or less, cement now is more than 8,000 naira. How many Nigerians? Why don't you provide the conducive environment for people, whether private, public ownership, whether developers? But the truth is that at the end of the day, the end user, the commoners, they cannot afford it. That's why in Abuja, that you see so many to let. In the last 5 years, we've been seeing it to let on some buildings. Why? It's beyond the reach of the common man. And housing is a must.
It is.
You need food. There is food insecurity. You need shelter, which is ill available. And you need feeding.
And clothing.
And clothing, rather. And we know, we have been told what has happened to all the textile industries. Where are we really? Are we caused?
No, we are not.
And we are not caused. The fault is not in our stars. It's in ourselves. That is the truth. For being underling, the fault is not in our stars. It's in ourselves. And do you know that this country is blessed? The country is blessed. May God continue to bless the country.
Amen.
But we too must do the needful.
Exactly.
I've been saying it that God has done all that is needed to be done. It is man that has not done his part. And of course, you cannot blame God. Not for anything. In this country, there are no disasters called natural disasters. What we have here essentially is man-made disasters.
And I keep saying that, Mr. Salami, maybe that to some extent has also made us careless and carefree in our attitude. If we had lived in an environment where if you don't provide shelter for people, when the cold comes, half of the citizens would die off, maybe we'll start thinking that, no, we can't afford that. If you are in an environment where you don't provide necessary facilities, when the elements descend, you know what happens.
All right, do you know that you don't need fertilizer in this country? There are in some climes, you cannot even put anything into the soil without doing soil test. Do you know, I've been saying it, that no madman in Africa would die of hunger, even if he's roaming the forest. When it's time for cashew, plucks it. When it's time for guava, plucks it. When it's time for pawpaw, yafu, plucks it, and he throws it away in some years to come.
That's germinated.
Even housewives washing pepper,
And throwing away the water, the seeds.
you are sure that there will be tomato. So, but you could see these are part of the grace of God on us. The God has been so kind to us. In some times, you dare not put any seed into the soil without engaging the brain first. It only means that God has been very, very and uncommonly kind to us. And God spoiled us, Lawrence. When you spoil a child, I'll leave it at that.
Oh, well, let's leave it at that. We are blessed in this country. Are you talking about the rains and the sunshine? God has blessed us in almost equal amount of those two in every year. You read stories of some countries and they say, well, in 2 years now, 3 years now, there has been droughts because there has not been a single drop of rainfall. And I wonder, and I said, wow.
We take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah.
We do take a lot of things for granted. The element has been clement.
Very kind to us.
Very, very kind to us.
All right, Mrs. Salami, I think we have to leave it at that. It's Thursday. We leave it at that. We'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the show. Thank you so much, Mr. Salman Salami, for your usual very, very interesting angles that you bring to this discussion. Thank you so much, sir.
It's a pleasure, Lawrence. It's a pleasure.
All right, that's our package on the show today. My analyst has been Mr. Salman Salami, Chief Operating Officer, Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. My name is Lawrence Omaiti. Let's make it a day tomorrow, same time, bright and early.